Welcome back to Arcanum, everyone. We're approaching the end. This may be the end right here. So, let's see. There's a preparatory thing. Let's heal. And is there anything else? I don't think so. Is there anything I should swap inventories? Here, you can have that. You can have the top hat too, why not? Magnus, I'm gonna need you to take these gems and shove them way up your butt. Because I know that's what you live for. Oh, well, except can't give you the necklace because you have to wear Cynthia Boggs' locket like a spooky guy. you just gotta do that for me, bud. Or you can have these instead. Why do you switch from the ruby to the sapphire? I don't understand. Seems very arbitrary. Oh, we got a Morgana's Tears last. Huh. It's something I didn't look at when I was... Well, it's almost impossible to sort through my items, but when we were back in Tarrant, something I didn't look at was the healing items that I had. Sort of took a cursory glance at everything for the most part. He doesn't want his eye, so I'm not going to carry it. Yeah, is there anything I want from Sog? Oh, I should take the Vendigroth device off of him. And I have 4 balanced swords in the party right now. Let's see. Give me that. Actually, yeah. Yeah, DPS-wise and efficiency-wise, it's the best option. And I will take all of the fuel. And then we'll just kind of go ham, I think. See what happens.
Greetings. Long have I waited for your arrival, and finally this moment has come. I am Kurgan, first of the necromancers, voyager in the lands of the dead.
I see. Not exactly the person I had originally expected.
I would think not. Although the presence of Aranax tells me you already know much of my tale. At least as much as he deemed necessary in order to bring you into his confidence.
Huh. There's some interesting options here. These are all relatively neutral. Well, except for the first one. I've heard his, let's see. Let's be real polite. I hate to impose, but could you tell me what's going on here?
Very well. Hear my story and decide for yourself. I know that your road has been long, as has my own. Perhaps we might yet see eye to eye.
Why is my only response a threat? Enjoy these words, they'll be your last.
In Arcanum, I was a mage of great power. The only human to ever sit on the great Elven Council. For 200 years I studied the magics of necromancy, the arts of physical and spiritual healing, the resurrection of the souls of the dead.
And so, what happened?
Perhaps it is just the way of humans. But what I had seen and learned was not enough. I craved knowledge, felt the shadow of my own mortality. And so, I looked deeper, and the secrets of black necromancy were shown to me. And I reveled in the truths I had uncovered, and I shared them with the council.
Only a monster such as you would see such evil as truth.
That sad puppet council. They didn't know what to think, and how could they? These were new discoveries. There were no precedents. And they listened to Aranax over the voice of their own reason.
What do you mean? What does Aranax have to do with this?
Aranax. From the very beginning, he hated me. Son of Nazrudin, proud elven heir to the leadership of the council. He saw my presence on the council as a travesty, a dishonor to the ways of magic.
Okay, the audio effect is getting a little too much.
And when it came, he viciously attacked.
Why? What happened?
My studies were of the souls of the dead. Once I had seen the darker side of necromancy, I began to speak with those souls, to animate the soulless, to quench the lives of the living.
But can't you see how some might see those actions as evil?
The bodies I experimented upon were already dead. If I raised their souls to again quench them, who is to say I didn't have the right? I'm no monster. I know that the line between good and evil is a gray one, and perhaps all of my actions weren't necessarily pure. But I never killed a living soul.
He raises an interesting point, actually, which we could go into in a variety of levels of depth, but we'll keep it sort of on the surface for just a moment here, because I think it's interesting and worth discussing. When it comes, as we understand it right now, at least from an empirical perspective, once death happens, there is no returning from it. At least, I mean, obviously there's the cases of like people whose heart stopped and they're legally dead or whatever, you know. But I mean, if you're dead for a day, you're dead forever. In some metaphysical or like whatever sense you need to make this question work, let me back up for a second. So we generally assume that after the death of a person, that their body it's generally treated with a modicum of respect based on the person who used to inhabit it. But for the sake of, like, you know, some sort of pseudo-theological or philosophical argument, that body no longer belongs to that person. That person does not exist anymore, only the meat that their consciousness inhabited, right? So, if somebody has been dead long enough that that is determined to be the case, what duty, if you know otherwise or have the power to reverse it, what duty do you incur by either returning or manipulating the state of death? And, like, because obviously you could say, well, you have to, if you know you can return them from death, then you have to only do so in a way that they would want. But then that's a whole discussion of trying to figure out what somebody wants after their death and so on and so forth. Then there's the part that then there's the alternative question of, well, do you have to rework the distinction between life and death to make both states temporary, such that, like, well, at that point, what are you allowed to do with a body after someone dies? with the knowledge that there is a process by which they can be returned from death, do you have to continue to treat their body as though it were alive, or with the same, like, rights and responsibilities as if it was alive? Or do you continue to work within, like, our generally existing current parameters of, once somebody's dead, everybody sort of has a social agreement of what is done with the body, and the like living will or whatever dictates what is how disposal is handled as dictated by the deceased. I mean, obviously he's using the argument here for his own ends. He's twisting facts to suit his theories, or however you want to say it. And on a technical level, he's probably correct that, like, if he didn't actually kill anyone, if he only manipulated bodies that were already dead, then he never killed anyone. But then, like, if you have the power to, in some capacity, return, either in full or partial capacity, to return a soul to its body, or let's not use the term soul. They're using the term soul, but I don't like it. A consciousness to its body. Do you have to, like, what responsibility do you have to do that in a correct way, let's say? Like, if their body is decaying and you have the ability to force their consciousness back into that body, is that, like, an abuse? Hey, I brought you back. Too bad you're gonna die almost immediately because your body's decayed or whatever. But, like, I don't know. Like, where do you start drawing that line? I think that's a genuinely tough question. And it's interesting that I've actually, with all the RPGs that I've played, there's very little consideration or discussion of those, like, necromantic practices beyond, like, fairly black and white. Hey, if you're a necromancer, you're evil as fuck. Anyway, back to the task at hand. You have a point, but there may be holes in your logic.
And who are you or they to judge me? And banishment? Banishment for some questionable experiments? The council was prepared to exile me, to throw me out of their number. But no. The jealousy of Aranax turned them against me, forced their hand. His words became the evidence against me, and they sentenced me to the void.
Hey, Aranax, got anything to say, bud? And eventually, Aranax was sent here as well.
Yes, for the same crime on a grander scale. And when we met here in the void, I had become so much more powerful than he. And again, he feared my words, and he made war against me. And now he is in chains, and this void has truly become his prison. Not so for me.
Does the game not realize he's here? Do we have a glitch on our hands? What do you mean?
In your world, your Arcanum, I was powerful. Perhaps the most powerful human magicka who has ever been. But to humans, cursed with our shortness of life, our brevity, what is this power? What can be learned in that impermanent spark that is our lives? Nothing. But here, in this so-called prison, there are no limits. There is no end.
I don't understand.
This place, this void, has no time as you know it. I've been here for more than 2,000 of your years, and yet I've aged not at all. I feel as I did the moment they sent me here, or as when the Dark Elves first called to me. Do you now see? Here I can do everything I did in your world. but I am unfettered by the chains of mortality that time hangs upon us.
That is actually an interesting twist. Not entirely unexpected. Obviously, we knew there was some level of time dilation or time manipulation going on, but the fact that there is no time whatsoever is, excuse me, is pretty interesting. On the other hand, it does seem to go a little against some of what some of the other people said. Karatur and the other guys some of them I seem to recall have said some things that suggested that they had a pretty good idea of how much time they had theoretically been here. Although I guess even if time is not passing, if your brain is calibrated to like a circadian rhythm or whatever else, an internal clock of some kind for, dozens or hundreds of years, if you've been accustomed to that, even if you go into a realm where there is no time passing. Well, no, I was going to say, if you go into a realm where there is no time passing, that doesn't mean you don't still feel like time is passing. But we know on the outside time has passed. Right? I'm confusing myself trying to work this out. So 600 years ago or whatever, they sent whatever the Khan guy here, and he understands it to be 600 years, and we understand it to be 600 years. But in the reality, in Arcanum, 600 years in past, and here, no time is. So what's actually, I think what I'm realizing is that Kurgan is wrong. It's not that no time passes; it's the effects of time are not at issue. Like the aging and like all those other processes that would normally happen as a result of time, the passage of time, this place seems to be in a temporal limbo. But passage of time still seems to be 1-to-1 effectively. Anyway. These are two interesting options. But the Dark Elves thought they were calling to Aranax.
Yes, I know. Ironic, isn't it? It was on my ears that their feeble and pathetic cries had fallen. To me, Kurgan, who had defeated their master and thrown him in chains. Kurgan, who had manipulated them into subverting the Bonari and weakening the wards. Kurgan, who used them to send me the dwarves of the Black Mountain clan, who have now finished the bridge back to Arcanum.
But why? If you like it so much here, then leave us alone.
I truly wish I could. My reasons for returning aren't what you'd think. I had no aspirations for power or domination like your companion Aranax did. Aspirations that I became the victim of. No. Those are the motivations of the living, and I no longer place myself among them.
Then what? What is it you want?
If only I could show you the places I've seen, you might understand the things I say. I've been to the desolate lands, wandered by those souls who still see the lands of the living, but wear the cloak of the dead. Blind to their own ends, they cry, passing through one another like shadows in the dying light of day. I've traveled to where souls rot in torment, pierced with the jagged shards of life and vision, clinging to memory, regrets of the flesh. I saw that this prison was of their own making, and the key was in unknowing, in release. And still, I traveled on. And finally, I came to the place where souls go to die, where the mirrored and worn spirits fall into an endless sea of gray, mirrored glass. And I lowered myself within, and lay there among them, and I almost did not return. And do you know what I found there? There, among the silent and battered shells of the innumerable? Peace, enlightenment, truth. Only then did I realize that this place, this life, is an abomination, a horrible distortion of the natural order. This life, who mothered pain and fear and envy, these twisted children who exist only because we are here to feed them, to nourish them. This life, this afterthought, a disturbance, a mere ripple in that great, dead sea, not even the cause, but merely an effect, sending these souls upward, screaming for release from the day they are torn from their waters. The effect of what? I do not know, nor do I care. Have you ever spoken with the dead, called to them from this side, pulled them from their silent rest? Do you know what it is that they feel? Pain. Pain when torn into this wakefulness, this reminder of the chaos from which they had escaped. Pain at having to live. There will be no more pain. There will be no more chaos. I see your soul, traveler. It screams, tattered and spent. Do you feel its pull? Do you hear its wailing? It is within my power to calm these waters, and that is what I shall do.
Okay, before we move on, I gotta say, one, that monologue was a whole lot of nothing. And two, sounds like nihilism with extra steps. And, like, a bit more of a hard-on for death. Yeah, I don't know, man. Sounds like you should have gone outside and taken a walk every once in a while. I suppose that's a different sort of way to look at things.
Hold on a moment. Might I speak with you?
Of course, Virgil.
What he is saying, it's not completely untrue. I've seen the places he speaks of, felt the peace and serenity of that great dead sea. It's not something I'll ever forget.
Oh, what? What are you saying, Virgil? Do you agree with Kurgan?
Of course not. I made my choice a long time ago, and I choose to stand with you. Yes, there is pain in life, pain and loss and sorrow. But there is also joy and the pleasures of growing and learning. You can't have one without the other, and I wouldn't want to sacrifice either. But in the end, I stand with you, whatever your choice.
Surprisingly well metered for Virgil. Thank you, Virgil. As for you, Kurgan.
I can no longer tolerate the atrocities that this thing, this life has brought about. There will be peace. There will be quiet. Life will no longer be. And so I go to Arcanum to be an end to it. And then I will join the souls of the dead when it is done.
I have a few questions before we continue.
Of course.
I don't know how much of this is going to be repeated. Tell me of how you came to be here.
I was the first of the necromancers, and the Elven Council was displeased with my studies into the darker side of that discipline. After an inquiry into my activities, the council was going to exile me, but Aronax, in his hatred of me, convinced them banishment was more appropriate for my so-called crimes. They banished me soon afterward.
I see.
Of course.
Tell me about what happened with Aranax.
Aronax was banished here only a few years after I was. After seeing how powerful I'd become, he raised a ragged army against me. But his efforts were useless. I destroyed his army and threw him in chains. A fitting end for him, and a reward for his endless arrogance.
I see.
Of course.
Tell me of the Dark Elves and the Black Mountain Clan.
The Dark Elves began calling across the void soon after Aronax had been banished. By the time their feeble cries were heard, their master was already defeated and imprisoned. Pretending I was he, I masterminded the manipulation of the Panari, coerced the Dark Elves into betraying the trusts of Logair and the Wheel Clan, and had the Black Mountain Clan sent to me.
Logair. Interesting. That, would have been nice that... No, that was the pronunciation. And what has the Black Mountain Clan been doing?
The Black Mountain Clan was brought here because of the nature of technology and magic. The wards which bind the gate back to Arcanum are weakening because of the rise of technology. I've brought the dwarves here to construct a device to shatter the wards once and for all. Of course.
What is it you really want, Kurgan?
I want the end to all life. I've divined the mysteries of death and seen its truth. Death is the natural state of things, and life is a distortion of the natural order. I will put an end to it once and for all.
I see.
Of course.
I guess that's it. None for now. Now what is it you want to do, Kurgan?
I can no longer tolerate the atrocities that this life has brought about. There will be peace. There will be quiet. Life will no longer be. And so I go to Arcanum to get an end to it. And then I will join the souls of the dead when it is done.
Can I save here? I cannot save here. Okay. Well, we'll come back to it anyway. Okay. We're going to go this route. Perhaps I could persuade you otherwise. You may be wrong.
Am I? It all depends on your point of view. Take yourself, for example. You've been told from the beginning of your adventure that you're the second coming of Nazrudin, the return of the living one. Do you believe it?
There's some interesting responses here. No, I think it's all a bunch of drivel.
As well you should. There are no prophecies. It's just the nature of living things to want to conform their existence to a foreseeable pattern, to attempt to exert control over the chaos that surrounds them. Life by its very nature disallows this. Life is an accident, the result of random chance. Therefore, its nature can be no different.
Huh. That's your opinion. That's your opinion. Can you support it?
There are those who would look at all that has happened to you, and then look at you, and call you a madman for not believing in the prophecy. Your opinion is based on what you have seen, what you know. My perceptions on the nature of life and death are no different.
I'd have to say you're correct. Now I have a few words to say.
Splendid. I've spent the last 2,000 years developing my philosophy, but I'm always eager to hear another's thoughts. Please, proceed.
Very well. Let's speak of the nature of life and death.
Yes, let us speak of this. It is my opinion that the nature of life is accidental, that this reality we experience is merely a distortion of death. What say you, traveler?
As you've said, I have only my expertise to draw from.
Yes, but what has that experience taught you? I know not the roads you've traveled, but I do know that all living things feel pain and loss. It's my opinion that they feel these things because they were never meant for what we know as life. Their souls are not equipped for it.
Hold, Kurgan. That assumption is based on your experience.
Yes, you're correct. I concede you that point. But I have seen both sides, whereas you have only the lands of the living. Trust me when I say that the souls who are called back to this life are in the most excruciating pain. It's unnatural.
Which one is he? I mean, it feels like we're going around in circles a little bit, but... Yes, but perhaps that is the nature of those particular souls.
What do you mean? Are you faulting the souls of the dead for the meddlings of the living?
No, but it's fate that some... No, but it's fate that some will suffer and some rest in peace.
I'm afraid that I don't agree with you. And even if I did, your observation about the randomness of fate or of life only proves my earlier point. The nature of life is chaos because of its unnatural existence. It just should not be here.
But I think souls are in pain because they hold on too tightly.
But you speak as if these souls have a choice when they're brought back. It's the mindless bravado of the living that subjects them to the vagaries of this life.
No, but the pain is of their own making.
I'm willing to say you might be correct. But what proof have you?
I've spoken to the souls who weren't in pain.
Just because some souls have accepted the nature of this distortion doesn't justify its existence. If what you're saying is correct, then what is the nature of death? Of life? Which is the natural state? Why is there pain on one side and uncertainty on the other?
This really is starting to feel like we're going in circles a bit, and he's really milking his argument for everything it's got. And unfortunately, it hasn't got a lot. The distortion is caused by the eyes with which we choose to see.
Perhaps it is my own arrogance, my own bravado that has brought us here to this crossroads. The question is, where do we go from here? We've spoken of fate, of prophecy. Have I traveled this road too long to turn back? Perhaps I have no choice but to continue on to the end.
No, I have a solution. I can free you once and for all.
Truly, I wish there were freedom for me. But I cannot let go of this life knowing that I might be called back to its pain. No, it seems I have no choice.
The Vendigroth device. It will sever you from this world forever.
Really? You can sever the bonds which hold my soul to the lands of the living? This object can actually do that?
Yes, I can free you from the pain that you fear.
So many years I've raged against the living. All those years, and the distortion was in my own soul. No man can see the nature of his flaws with diseased eyes. The contradiction lies within me.
I mean, this just all seems a little too easy to convince him. Like, it's not without a path, but it is... He gives in a little bit easily. I know that they don't want to, like, keep us here for hours debating with him. They don't want to write that much. They don't want to make him record that much. But, like, it's a little bit of a sloppy turnaround. Let me end your journey, Kurgan. Go to your rest.
Yes, I thank you. And I'm sorry. So very, very sorry. Perhaps some souls are born into death. They never knew how to live.
Yes, I think you might be right.
Goodbye, traveler. My road ends here. I wish you luck on yours.
Goodbye, Kurgan. Oh, and then he's just... It sprouts 100 needles and stabs him. Wow.
The defeat of Lucan and his henchmen, coupled with your freeing of the ghost of Bessie Toon, enabled Shrouded Hills to grow and become a thriving community once again.
Jesus, what a
A new
jump.
silver vein is discovered in the old Bessie Toon mine. Workers pour into town by the dozens, and within a few years, Shrouded Hills is a bustling boomtown. Such towns often have problems keeping the peace. Shrouded Hills has no such trouble, mainly due to the efforts of their new sheriff, Doc Roberts. Don Throg, because of the advice that you gave him, became a leading political activist in the fight for Orcish rights. In time, he legalized Orcish labor unions, secured the vote for all citizens regardless of race or gender, and became the champion of equal rights and justice in Tarrant. Before long, he was begrudgingly voted into the Industrial Council, and in a few years he sat at its head. Maximilian was returned to Dernholm, and all of Cumbria rejoiced in the return of their rightful king. Under the new rule of Maximilian, Cumbria quickly grew into a powerful nation, embracing both magic and technology. And once again, the proud banner of the Dragon Knights flew from the ramparts of Dernholm Castle, set there by their new captain, Liana Peldar. The long-standing deception of the Panari by the Dark Elves was finally brought to light. Alexander became the new High Priest of the Panari, and he wrote a new chapter for the Archaeon based on his experiences with the Living One. By failing to convince the mayor of Blackroot to rejoin Cumbria, there was an eventual dispute over its ownership between King Maximilian and the Tarantian Industrial Council. War was declared by Cumbria not long after. History did not repeat itself. Cumbria defeated Tarrant decisively, due not in small part to the courage of the Dragon Knights. Under the continued leadership of Loghaire Thunderstone, the Wheel clan came out of seclusion and rejoined the world. Loghaire himself lived for more than 800 years, and songs are still sung about his bravery and courage. The Bedokan continued to live in the dark fens, fighting here and there with loggers and poachers, but mainly keeping to themselves. They continued to live the primitive lives of nomad hunters, and they never spoke with the elves of Gintara again. Upon returning to Arcanum, Aranax buried his father, on the Isle of Thanatos. Later he traveled to the Vendigroth Wastes, and there used his powers and single-handedly raised the city from the ruins it had become. Vendigroth again became a place of awe and wonder. Yet, after all of this, Arcanum is still what it always was, a place of possibility, a place of change. One thing is certain, and that is that nothing at all is ever certain in this place. Who's to say what the future holds for the land we call Arcanum?
Well, a little bit sudden. The ending was a little bit limp after all. But I'm also kind of stunned at that, like, voiced epilogue. They wrapped up in a matter of like 2 or 3 minutes. They wrapped up a massive amount of plot lines in a way that I did not expect. Like, not only did they address major arcs, but minor ones as well. Referring to specific characters that we assisted and where they ended up in various positions. That's kind of stunning. In the end, it comes together, I suppose. It doesn't excuse a lot of the problems they're in, but yeah. Two things about it, though. I was initially a little bit surprised to hear that like, Tarant and Cumbria went to war again, and then I was like, oh, no, that makes sense, and also, fuck Tarant, burn that shit to the ground. Place is cursed as hell. That said, as I was saying that just now, I realized that they gave sort of a... Hey, guys, a little loud on the music. They gave kind of a... 2 different stories that didn't quite work out, because they said the half-orc guy became, like, a leader in Tarant, and that Tarant lost a war. So, without a timeline, that might be in conflict. Yeah, I'm still kind of stunned at the number of things the number of things we felt like, well, technically they did forget them. Let's not give them too much credit, yeah? Like, just because they addressed them at the very end in a cutscene doesn't mean that they didn't, squander the opportunity to see the actual fruits of our labors. But yeah, interesting nonetheless. I'm not going to give all my reflections on it right now, because I'm going to do one more episode. I believe this is going to air on Wednesday. I'm going to put one more episode up on Friday, because we're going to go back in for a little poke around, see what else Kurgan might have to say. But as a general thing, I mean, we've been in this for 226 episodes now. So thanks for bearing with that insanity. And I feel like I've addressed most of what I need to address already. I don't need a big reflection at the end, but still I'll think on it and see if there's anything else I can come up with. All things considered, came to a pretty neat close. Surprisingly neat, actually. If, once again, a little squandered. That might be an understatement. Yeah. I'm not sad to have played it, or I'm not mad to have played it, but I don't know that I would again. I'd be down for a remaster, though. Cut out a lot of the grind and bugs and fix some things up and call me. And I'll take another crack at it. Anyway. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you on Friday.